Parents, this video is for you. This week, we're changing it up a little bit in reading class. We're going to do something called an author study. Now, there's a lot of purposes for an author study. One of them is a simple one that it helps kids from not getting into a reading rut. We've been doing our Journeys book for 5 weeks now, and we actually finished the end of book one. We have 6 of them in first grade. And so I like to change it up every about once a quarter and do a week of something different. And this week we chose to do an author study. So that's one purpose of an author study, is just to prevent them from getting into a rut so it doesn't always feel like the same old choice boards and just change it up a little bit. It keeps it exciting and it keeps them hopefully wanting to keep learning. Author study also really work with helping us have higher level thinking skills. There's a lot of standards that we will hit this week in the author study, some writing and reading standards. So that's another purpose of it, is it helps us hit those standards in a fun way. And there's many other reasons. It gives them exposure to a really great author. And I think if you get your hands on some of his books, you will really enjoy it yourself. You will see several of his books that he wrote. And if you have a chance, you may want to go to the library and grab some, but please, by no means do you need to do that. I will be reading the books with them. One of them I could not find at the library. I'm pretty bummed about, so I'm hoping to find it online. But you don't need to do anything extra. They will have it all here for them. Epic, unfortunately, doesn't have any Mo Williams books. He's their author. But you can, there's nothing that they don't need to read these books. I'm going to be doing the lesson through a book, so they don't need to necessarily read them. If they want to get their hands on some, the library is a great place. A Flipbook lap book this week. Now, let me say this up front. I do not care if they do it this way. They absolutely do not need to do it like this. This is what it'll look like in the classroom. However, you do not need to do this. I understand that printing is an issue. When we had our Zoom meeting the other day, the kids said they preferred that the parents printed the papers and they wrote on them. So here's an opportunity for you to do that. However, the papers I'm sending, there's quite a few papers. So if you go, it's probably going to be about 15 sheets of paper. If you're like, I don't have time to do that, or I do not want to do that, parents, please hear me out. You do not need to do that. They can listen to the lessons and they can like draw these things out. There was nothing that you need to do if it's too much for you. There was no way for me to really make this digitally that I could think of. However, most of the kids I think will probably want to have it printed if it's something you can do. Again, it does not need to look this way, but I will show you what I did. And if you want it this way, great. I just used a file folder right here. It's just like your original file folders that you probably have at the house. I just grabbed them out of my filing cabinet, the ones that were extra. And I opened it up and I flipped the inside this way and half of the top one way and half the top this way. That's all it is. And then they'll decorate it with one of the sheets of papers that I send to you. And then inside, we're going to have a flap that says books by Mo Williams and books not by Mo Williams. When you see something like this, if you choose to do it this way, you just need to make sure you glue around the edges because this becomes a pocket. And then one of the papers will have a copy of like all of his little books, not all of them, but some that are from him and some that are not by him. They might be by Dr. Seuss, so they would put that in that side. I'll go over this when I do the lesson that day. Um, then it's the flip part. And so there's 5 books that we'll be studying this week. And you'll see this paper. It looks overwhelming when you see it in the papers like this. Like here's one of them. You just cut it out around the box. And then when you get all the 5 books cut along with this Mo Williams author label, you just staple it and glue the top part. This is all like a flip thing. And then there's Mo Williams, and here's Time to Sleep sheet. And then you'll have a paper that says nocturnal, not nocturnal. And all you do is when they get to this part, I will explain this in the video when I teach it, they will glue around the edge because it becomes a pocket. And then one day we'll be doing Are You Ready to Play Outside? If I can find that book. And then they will just glue there so that the flip part comes. And I'll explain that. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. This will be something I'll explain how to make it, but there's 2 sheets of paper that I glued back to back, parents. This one's probably the most confusing. I just glued these 2 papers that I sent you back to back, glued just on that part, and it becomes a little flip book about this story. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. And then Nuffle Bunny will be easy. They'll have some things to cut and paste, super easy. And then there's a paper that talks about how Mo William writes and what kind of motion lines, speech bubbles, and things that he uses. So that'll be pretty easy. And then on the back, you'll see one of the copies that looks like this little guy. And then we'll have facts about Mo Williams, the actual author, to flip underneath. So I just wanted to show you this because when you see these papers that I send you like this, you'll be like, what in the world does she want us to do with all these papers? And say like you'll see this pocket one like this, nocturnal, not nocturnal. And that's for the sheep one. Again, there's two that copy twice on one paper, so you're just going to need half of that when you get to that one. This is the one that I copied back to back. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. I cut these two sheets out so that they lined up perfectly, and then I pasted them back to back. And then when I pasted it on my sheet of paper, I just glued right there and put that on the paper, and it ends up becoming a little flip part. So you will see this and be like, what in the world does Miss Axel want us to do? It really isn't that difficult, but I wanted to send you this video just to show it to you. And I'm super excited about reading this week and studying more about the author Mo Williams. I hope you enjoy his books too, and if you get a chance to. We'll talk to you later. Thanks so much, parents, for all your support. And if there's anything I could do to make this easier on you, even if it's like, hey, print these for me or make me the little thing and send it my way, I don't have a problem doing that if that's easier for you. So let me know how I can help you. Thank you.